So recently there was a giant painting in the studio that a lot of you guys saw on video and were asking, what's the deal with it? Why was that there? Hola, you amazing artists, and welcome back to the studio. Studio is now taken over by a 14-foot by 6-foot piece.
Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles.
So I know one of the main questions that you're going to ask is like, hey Rafi, how did you get this commission? Like, did you go out and get it? Did you like fish for it or whatever? And they came to me, which is kind of the way that a lot of commissions work nowadays for me, is that they reach out to me because they're interested in what I do. And then I put a proposal together. In the case of Orin Industries, I put together a proposal which states prices and stuff like that, but most importantly is this. So this was my intended proposal for their lobby. We sat down, had a meeting, I explained what all this meant and what the meaning was behind it, and they liked it and gave the okay.
They were like, you're kind of crazy, but we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I know. Apparently crazy sells. So essentially, Orin Industries is a paper company, which by the way, I got to tour their facility and I was like a kid in a candy store. There are rolls of paper bigger than buildings. Paper and all kinds of art supplies is all that I saw walking around. I was like, do you know how many cool things I could create with all this stuff? I was excited. The place is cool. The piece in of itself is supposed to symbolize their story. The raw materials, creating the materials, to transportation, to end user. It has a story to tell in an abstract way. So this painting is actually created from the materials that I got to pick up from their location. It is layers upon layers upon layers of texture of paper, of their actual product. This was one of those commissions that looked like nothing until it started to reach the final stages of production. The fact that this was taking up my entire studio, and no matter where I was sitting over here, like I had to look just at this piece. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I actually work on several pieces at once. And one of the reasons that I work on several pieces at once is because if I run into a roadblock, I could take my eyes off of that piece and then I could go over here and start working on this piece and focus on it. And eventually my mind opens up. With this piece, I didn't have any room to actually work on anything else. So it was just this giant brain fart struggle that was going back and forth. It was me and this piece just wrestling.
Domination of the studio.
Domination of the studio. I was going to win, darn it.
It was winning.
It was winning. God, it was winning for a long time, and then I got it. I got it at the end. I did try to work on pieces behind it, but it was so claustrophobic that I could not like bring myself to fully try and work on something.
Yeah, and it was all up in my space too. There were days where Rafi was like, I'm gonna need you to go do something else and not work at your bench. And I was like, I cannot work under these conditions.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It definitely made me realize that we need a bigger studio, which since the beginning, the studio has slowly been growing and growing and growing as we change locations, because every location that I'm in, I'm like, I need a bigger studio. And when we finally got in here, I was like, yeah, this is nice and big. And then I need a bigger studio. I want a giant studio where I could work on giant pieces.
I'm pretty sure if our studio had a slogan, it would be, we need a bigger studio.
Yeah, we're gonna need a bigger studio. One of the biggest questions that I got when people saw the piece was like, how are you gonna get this thing out of the studio? And to be honest with you, if it was one solid piece, we would not have gotten it out of the studio. But when I created it, I actually created it into 4 separate sections.
Today's the day.
Today is the day. I'm gonna be delivering the piece, finally gonna be delivering the piece. And a lot of you have had the question, hey Rafi, how are you gonna get that giant piece out of the studio? Well, here's the answer. Piece actually comes apart into 4 separate pieces. I very meticulously cut the edges of the actual painting, which was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I had to walk away for that part.
Yeah, that was terrifying. I was like, I am at the end and I am going to totally screw this thing up.
I was like, I'm gonna go away, and when I come back, he'll have had it figured out.
Luckily, nothing went wrong with that, so I was able to cut it, seal in the edges, and take the piece apart. We then delivered the piece and installed it. I personally love installing my work because it's the finalization of the process. There is no feeling that is like that when you see it up where it's finally going to live. I mean, it's undescribable.
Yeah, the best word that we could come up with was, whoa.
Yeah, there's something about seeing it up against the wall versus seeing it in here that it had a totally different life to it. So it's one of my favorite parts. The piece took about 2 months to finish because it was a lot of layering and waiting a day for layers to dry, and there were several layers that went on there before I even started painting it. It was just full days of getting this piece done, and as you guys know, I was only able to film one video during that time, so it was a busy time, but it was totally worth it, totally awesome. So was this slightly outside of my comfort zone? Yes, it was. I mean, I had never done a piece that big. As you could see, like, it barely fit in the studio. I've done pieces that were large for, like, restaurants in town and things like that, but I had never done a big piece that would be like a central lobby piece for a company. It was interesting because when I got approached, I could almost see myself, like, trying to self-sabotage, but realizing, like, wait a second, this is totally something I could do. But there was that part of my mind that was like, well, you don't have enough room, and you don't have enough time to be able to do this. And as it turns out, it's been one of the coolest things that I've done. There might be something that you're afraid to do. Just go ahead and do it, because you might as well. Now, I'm sure that you guys have questions about how it was installed, and I mean, all I could tell you is that I just put big hooks and stuff on there.
There were logistics, there were people involved. It was a smooth operation. Things were planned out, measured, remeasured, hung, rehung.
Yeah. In fact, at some point, we'll probably put together a video about hanging large pieces of work. I've also been on the other side where hanging big pieces of work is a pain in the gluteus maximus.
So we'll tell you our secret tricks so you can save your gluteus maximus.
Yes. And that's it, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. This is just about the piece that I finished and trying to answer any questions that you might have about the big giant piece that was behind me. If you guys have any questions about art or life or anything, just put them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. I totally think you are awesome and I absolutely adore you. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, just click right over here to subscribe. And that's it. Say goodbye, Clee.
Good day.
Adios.